Hello and welcome back to Her Becoming. I am your host, Kayla Countryman. As always, thank you for being here. It is a pleasure and an honor to have you in this space. I have a really important episode for us today, something that has been on my mind and on my heart for quite some time now. We are going to talk about staying grounded through devastating times and the power that your voice holds, especially in times of global crisis. It is no secret that we are living right now in a world completely overcome with pain and devastation and heartbreak. And today I'm putting on my activist hat. I'm also putting on my business coaching hat a bit and calling you forward to take action and also encouraging you to take care of yourself, take care of your mind, your body, and your spirit in times like today. So before we really jump in, I want to make my stance very clear. I have been clear from the start in what we are seeing right now, specifically in Gaza, is not okay. It is completely devastating. It is completely heartbreaking. It is incredibly painful to witness. It is inhumane. It is not defense. It is an act of deliberate starvation, injustice, and genocide. Period. I want to make that stance very clear. I do not waver on that. I will not argue that. That is what it is. And I know that I'm not alone in struggling lately with balancing the weight of witnessing what is going on in the world outside of our country and inside of our country with what's going on in my daily life. For us creatives and entrepreneurs, this can feel especially tricky to navigate because our work starts to feel less important. When we are witnessing mass genocide, when we are witnessing children being starved and seeing these images on the news, on our phones, on social media, our work starts to feel less important. It can feel like what you're doing doesn't matter. It's not making an impact in people's lives. We can start to feel guilty for posting or selling. It can feel silly to even share content, to put content out there when our feeds are filled with just these heavy, debilitating images. And if you feel confused by feeling heartbroken by what we're witnessing, even though your life isn't directly impacted by it on a day-to-day basis, you are not alone. You are very much human, you are empathetic, and I want to applaud you for even having the heart, the consciousness, and the awareness to feel that way. So today I want to talk about why our work is even more important in times like this and how you can take care of yourself and really stay grounded in these types of times. So first, let's talk about what's happening in our nervous system when we are witnessing this level of crisis. The level of devastation that we are seeing right now triggers nervous system dysregulation. We are simply not meant to witness everything that we have witnessed over the last 5 to 10 years in our entire lifetime. If we look at the data, I heard this statistic a few years ago, and I have not been able to get it out of my head. We consume as much data in one single day as our ancestors did in an entire lifetime. I'm going to get into the studies a little bit here. According to a 2009 study by UC San Diego, the average American consumes about 34 gigabytes of information and 100,000 words per day through our phones, computers, TV, and other media, which is 5 times more information daily than people consumed in 1986, so even just 40 years ago, and exponentially more than any other generation before the digital era. On top of that, in a single week, we consume more media than people in the 1800s did in their entire lives. I will drop the sources for those studies in the show notes. I really share that to make it clear and to normalize your overstimulation, to normalize the level of anxiety that seeing the constant feed of data and information and news is triggering in our bodies. On top of that, us millennials and Gen Z have lived through an average of 4 to 5 global or national crises before the age of 30. We look at 9/11, the Great Recession, mass shootings, climate disasters, Trump in general, COVID-19, ongoing wars and genocides. That is more high impact trauma exposure than most generations experience over a lifetime. And that's another study I will drop in the show notes. Social media is a gift. It informs us, it makes us aware of what's going on. We have really easy access to our friends and can stay connected and grow our businesses. but it also is exposing us to a constant stream of violence and trauma in real time. And our nervous system is not equipped to be able to process this or integrate it as it's happening. And so, what we're experiencing are actually the real psychological effects of witnessing harm over screens, even though it's not directly happening to us. So this is something that's fascinating about our brain, is that our brain cannot differentiate trauma in real life from trauma that we are seeing on our screens. The amygdala, which is the part of our brain that is responsible for our fear response and that detects threats, it doesn't always know the difference between real life danger and perceived danger or traumatic content that we're viewing online. So even though this isn't happening to us necessarily, it's still triggering that same stress response in our body as if it were happening to us. Obviously, on a much different level, but our body is still getting activated. Our nervous system can still enter that fight or flight. So, if as you're scrolling on social media, as you're consuming the news, as you're reading updates on Gaza and what's going on in our world, if you're feeling unsettled, anxious, overstimulated, this is why. There is a reason why. Your body is experiencing the stress as a result of what is happening in the world, and that is normal. That is okay. That means that you are paying attention. Your eyes are open and your heart is also open. And again, I want to applaud you for that, but I know it's not easy. I know it's not easy. And so, with that being said, it's important to take a step back. Realizing the amount of data and information and the impact that it's having on our bodies and our brains, when you can understand what's going on, it's even more of a reason for you to take a step back, rest, log out, pause. And it can be heavy to carry this weight, especially when sometimes it feels like you're carrying it alone. Especially when you're maybe surrounded by people who simply aren't tapped into what's going on, they don't care about what's going on, or even worse, they're trying to argue against your care for humanity and pick a fight with you over you being aware and considerate about what is going on. So taking a step back doesn't mean that you stop getting informed and stop paying attention, but it does mean that you give yourself space to recharge so that you can re-enter with a full battery. Because again, we are just completely overstimulated by what we're seeing, and there needs to be a fine balance between having empathy and having care and being informed while also taking care of yourself, taking a step back, pausing and recharging so that you can show up and you can advocate in the way that you want to. So I touched a little bit on how these types of times can be really difficult to navigate for creatives and entrepreneurs, but I really want to drive home the fact that our work is even more important during these times. It is really tempting to stop sharing your work, to stop selling your services or your products, or stop creating content because we feel guilty. There's this sense of guilt of, I don't want to talk about my thing when there's people in the world that are going through such a devastating situation. When people are being murdered right in front of us every single day, it feels almost icky to continue to share your work. But I want to challenge that thought today. Even I have felt that way, and I have to reframe it in order to continue pushing on. And that's what I want to help you do today as well. Suppressing your own voice is not helpful for the cause. In fact, it is exactly what they want. They being people in powerful positions who are responsible for the devastation that we are seeing. What we're seeing in Gaza, in Palestine, is an act of white supremacy. Point blank, period. Displacing Black and brown folks, intentional starvation, dehumanizing of Palestinians. It is all connected in the name of white supremacy. So us Black and brown folks, we deeply understand what violence against us looks like, what it looks like to steal land, the generational trauma, being silenced. That is part of our history. It is ingrained within us. And those same people, the same systems that are telling us to calm down, to stay neutral, to stay quiet, they are saying that in an effort to keep us disconnected from our power, especially when we speak up in our communities. They do not want it to happen. Systems of oppression benefit when marginalized voices are silenced or discouraged. Not only do they not want us speaking out about what we're seeing, but they also don't want us sharing our unique point of view, our gifts, our talents, our voices, period. because that gives us power and they are trying to avoid that. So I want to use today as a call to action to encourage you to use your voice to speak out against this and what you're seeing. Yes, of course, but also to use your voice to share your gifts, because your work right now is more important than ever. The work that you were put on this earth to do, your soul work, your purpose, it is healing you. And when you heal yourself, you also heal the collective. When you exist in your purpose and pursue your highest calling, you are healing generations behind you as well as generations in front of you. And you pursuing your creativity and pursuing your dreams, that's your medicine. That is the healing, especially for people of color, especially for women of color. And I want to especially call out Black women. When we share our gifts and share our voice and speak up and take up space, that is our medicine. We have seen what happens when Black women show the F up. The world quite literally changes. And I see my work, this podcast, as an assignment from God, from source, from universe, from whoever it is, that higher power that you believe in. I believe that her becoming is my calling from God, intended to help you discover your medicine, intended to help you reclaim your power and take up space. And I don't think it's a coincidence that this podcast exists at the same time of what we're witnessing right now, of what I'm witnessing right now in my own life and what we're seeing across the globe. Creativity must be reframed as an act of resistance. Joy must be reframed as an act of resistance. Because when we are creative, when we are joyful, we are taking up space in this world and we cannot be suppressed. So I want to call you forward to create something that is yours. It doesn't need to be a big business idea. It doesn't even need to be something that is monetized. But I want to encourage you to start the blog, write the book, offer the service, get the certification that's calling you, volunteer in a field that you're passionate about, find a hobby and build a community around that hobby. The point here is help people feel seen. It's time for you to do something that brings your purpose front and center instead of just reacting to life, instead of just scrolling in your free time and consuming all of this information that is quite literally overstimulating our nervous systems. What if you put that effort that you're putting into scrolling into creating something that can really make a difference for you and for the people around you? This is where I put my tough love hat on, because I really believe that every single one of us, every single one of you listening to this podcast right now is meant to do more. I'm not saying that you're not doing enough right now. I'm not saying that you don't deserve rest. I am simply saying that your soul was put here for a reason, to offer a gift. We all have a gift to offer that helps not only ourselves heal, but the entire collective. And how amazing is it that we have the opportunity to teach future generations to do the same? I get so lit up thinking about how I'll be able to teach my future babies how to use their voice, how to explore their passions and speak up in a world that so badly will want to silence their Black and brown bodies. But I know that in order to be able to do that, I have to be the example. I have to first be able to use my voice and speak up and share my gifts, even when it's scary, even when it feels really vulnerable, and even when I quite frankly have no idea what I'm doing. And another thing that I love about existing in purpose and sharing your gifts with the world, especially during these types of times, is you become a permission slip for someone else to do the same. There are people out there right now wondering if they are capable of something or needing a sign to begin. And when you take the courageous step of doing the thing, starting the thing, pursuing the dream, you give someone else out there permission to do the same. We are all connected in this society, and it takes all of us in order for one of us to pursue our gifts. Even if your work doesn't directly relate to activism or wellness, it is still contributing to healing because you're expanding the consciousness. It's especially true for people that are coaches, for therapists, for teachers, facilitators, guides. We need you. Like right now is the time. If you have ever felt called to lead in any sort of way, whether it is teaching or coaching or sharing your voice and speaking, the world needs us right now to challenge the very systems that are in place to keep us small. So if you're listening to this and it's resonating with you, I'm calling you forward. It's a sign. Let this be your sign that now is your time. If you're not sure where to start, that's okay. Next week's episode is actually going to be a deep dive into pursuing your gifts and taking action into building whatever's on your heart. But right now, just sit with this. Sit with the fact that you are being called for more. Your voice is incredibly powerful and your voice is needed in today's world. And you have the power. I know it feels like you doing one thing can't change the world. It can't change the outcome of the devastation that we are seeing. It can't heal the broken heart of this country, but it can do something. It can heal someone else. It can heal you. It can heal generations before and behind you, which I just think is the most beautiful thing that we can do. So it's not for nothing. Your voice is not for nothing. And I really hope that you choose to explore that, to reclaim your power, and just get curious about your own unique magic. So that's my pep talk for you. But I also want to talk about how you can take care of yourself, deeply nourish yourself, and remain grounded through seasons of global crisis. The most obvious answer here is self-care, but self-care has become such an overused and large topic. And so I really want to dial into a few specific things that you can do and change in order to take care of yourself, mind, body, and spirit during these types of times. So the first question I have for you is, are you exposing yourself to news as soon as you wake up? How many of you are turning over when you wake up, grabbing your phone, and opening Instagram? And then you notice that Instagram is filled with these images, these videos, these heartbreaking updates. And then you wonder why you feel so anxious and sad first thing in the morning. The first thing I want you to do is stop checking your phone the moment you wake up. I know not everyone can do this, but personally, I do not sleep with my phone on my nightstand. I sleep with my phone plugged in on the completely other side of the room so that I don't even have access to my phone when I'm laying in bed. Reason being, so many people wake up and just dive into everyone else's world before they dive into their own. So this is a really simple shift you can make if you find yourself not being able to get centered in the morning and you feel like you're reacting to your day instead of creating it. Maybe try setting your phone further away from you, somewhere where you can't reach it and can't grab for it as soon as you open your eyes. Even better if you can get through your morning routine without touching your phone at all. I know that's a big step for some people, but it's something to work for, especially knowing how much stimulation our phones carry. Something else you can do, and it sounds so simple, but I think everyone needs to hear this, is limit your time scrolling, for reals. It is such a habit to pick up your phone when you are waiting in line, when you're in between calls, when you go to the bathroom, and just scroll and consume news and information. But what if you replace the energy, and yes, it does take energy to scroll, what if you replace that with creation or with play? Maybe time spent brainstorming your own natural gifts, or time playing outside, going for a walk, calling a friend, doing arts and crafts. I encourage you to maybe just pick 1 hour each day, maybe in the morning or maybe in the afternoon after work, where instead of using your phone as a tool to decompress, which we know actually isn't really decompressing us, pick something else up. A book, a journal, a sketch pad, a puzzle, something that will actually help your brain decompress instead of the fake effect that scrolling has on us. The next one is meditation and prayer. Regardless of who your higher power is or what you believe in, spending time in meditation and prayer is scientifically proven to release stress, to relax our nervous systems, and to help us connect with our inner self and our true being. When we do that, that is healing, that is self-care, that is self-devotion, that is entering a state of complete presence that helps us center for our day. Spending time in community, I mention this all the time because the people that you surround yourself with are actually medicine for you and for your soul. So again, surrounding yourself by people who are having these conversations. Are you around humans who give a damn about what's going on? Are you able to bring up these difficult topics in your circle and have meaningful conversations about what you can do or changes that you can make in your day-to-day life to contribute to the healing? These are important questions you have to ask yourself, because if you're surrounding yourself with people who are not on the same wavelength as you're not able to step fully into your power. Jumping back to social media, curate your feed, curate your social media in a way that supports you. You do not have to follow everyone you follow right now. Maybe you take this episode as a call to action to just go through everyone you're following and start unfollowing anyone that triggers you, unfollowing anyone that wants to argue with you about human rights. Unfollow anyone that is disrupting your peace when you are simply trying to speak your mind and care about human beings. You do not have to follow everyone. It's okay. You can use that mute button, you can use that block button, that unfollow button. They are all valid actions. And last but not least, in talking about self-care, is giving yourself full permission to experience the full spectrum of emotions. If you are angry, if you are pissed off, if you are sad, depressed, anxious, overwhelmed, full permission to feel, full permission to exist there and know that you are human. You are not broken. Matter of fact, you are exactly where you are meant to be. I will put resources in the show notes of where you can donate, how you can call representatives, how to take real action in speaking up for Gaza. I want you to know that posting on social media is important too, spreading awareness, making it clear where you stand. Do not be neutral on this. I invite you to keep learning, keep praying, keep advocating. Do not move on from this topic just because the algorithm eventually will. And again, use your voice. Now is the most important time for you to step up, to listen to that call, listen to that instinct, that gut feeling, that message from God that is telling you that you are meant to do something more. You are meant to share a gift with the world. You are meant to speak up. Even when it feels scary and terrifying and vulnerable, there's a reason that that calling has landed with you. Next week, we'll be diving into how you can start taking action towards whatever it is on your heart, whether it is an idea or a business plan that you want to start. I will be giving you tangible actions you can take to begin. I cannot wait to share it with you. And until then, be well.